Okay, so let's get going. As you can see, I have just kind of the basic third-person blueprint here. If I jump in, hit play, you'll see that we have our Quinn character. It's just basically running wherever I point the joystick there. Um, but always playing a single animation. So it's just playing forward, essentially. Or if I go slower, I guess a walk, right? So has has that going for it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to swap out this character with and the animation, a bunch of things in order to get kind of a strafing system, the type that you would use um, for a shooter typically. So first thing we need to do is just jump into the third person blueprint. And over here on the right, I'm going to go ahead and type in rotation. And down here under character movement, rotation settings, we just need to check this box that says use controller desired rotation, and then uncheck this box which says orient rotation to movement. We can hit compile, save, jump back in, and you'll notice the difference right away for Quinn as I'm now pushing left, pushing back, pushing to the right, forward, etc. The character constantly just faces the direction that the camera is going. And so that's what we want to begin with. And the next thing we want to do is just create a blend space. So if I haven't mentioned it before, I just need to mention that the animations I'm using are from the CLazy or CLazy, I don't know how it says it, Anim Pack. And I used this on a project a little while ago. I bought the animation pack, love the animations, and so that's what I'm using. You can use those or whatever you want as long as you got 8 animations in terms of direction. So here's the blend space. So we're going to use the blend space. We're going to use this skeleton. This is the skeleton that those animations were created for. That's the only reason I'm using it, but you could apply these to um, the default skeleton if they're retargeted. And we're going to open that up. And in here, I'm just going to go ahead and dock it up here. And you'll see over here on the left, we have the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. And that's what this blend space is down here that we're going to be working with. If I go ahead and type into horizontal axis, it's going to be our direction. Our minimum value is going to be negative 180. Our maximum value is going to be 180. So think about that from like a circle that's unwrapped and into a straight line. So you have your negative 180 and your 180, positive 180. Both of these would be the backwards direction, and the 0 would be the forwards direction. For grid divisions, we're going to do 8 because we have 8 different animations. And then we want to snap to grid. And then for vertical axis, we want it to be the speed. So we're going to do that. And minimum value 0 is fine. Maximum value, we're going to do this at 550 because I've done this before with these animations, and 550 actually looks pretty good. And for grid divisions, we're not going to do any divisions, but we do want to snap to grid. And then down here, where it says wait speed, this is how quickly the character will change between different animations in this blend space. There's kind of a little feature here. If you want something to be instantaneous, just make this a negative value, -1 or negative whatever, and it'll be instantaneous. The character will actually pop to the new animation. But a lower value will be slower, and a higher value will be quicker. So 1 is 1 second, 2 is a half second. I usually do something between 5 and 7, so we can do a 7 just to start off and see how it looks, and then we can start adding in our animations. So over here, I'm going to type in idle, get my idle, bring it in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and type in my run, and we have our run backwards. I'm going to go ahead and put that here. I'm also going to put the run backwards over on the other side so that we are doing the same thing. For run backward left, 45, I'm going to do that one over here. For run backward right, 45, do that one over here. Run forward, we're going to put right in the middle. Run forward left, it's going to be right here, halfway in between the two, the backwards and the middle, right? Run forward left, 45 would be right there. Run forward right would be next. We're going to put that right in the middle. And then run forward right, 45 is right there. And there you have it. We have created our blend space. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then we're going to jump into our animation blueprint, and we're going to create our direction variable. And I think I have this from the last time I did it, but I'm going to go ahead and delete it just so we do it again. And I'm going to add this pin, and then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to say get actor rotation. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once I have the actor's rotation, I want to plug in the character. And get that down here. And just so we have a little space. And then I want to calculate the direction. I want to do this one here. And we're going to plug in this value for the actor's rotation there. Here for velocity, we're going to plug in our velocity. This velocity variable is a default variable in the third-person blueprint. And then, now this is going to result in a vector. We want to actually normalize this, and so that we have a normalize axis. We want this to be 0 or minus 180 to a positive 180. Notice right there it says clamps an angle to the range of negative 180 to 180. And that's going to be what plugs into this value right here, negative 180 to 180, right, for our direction. So, and then we want all of this to, let me move this up a little bit. We want this to come out here, and we want to create that variable, which is just going to be the, so hold on one sec. I'm just going to create it down here. We have our variable, and let's call it direction. And we want this to be a float. And so then if I bring this up here, I can just set the direction right there. And then up here, I'm going to plug this in, double click that, pull it down, and I'm going to then call all of this direction. So there's that. So now what I want to do is I want to jump into the anim graph, and if I'm in, let's just jump back just so you can follow what I'm doing. So I'm in the anim graph here, and I'm going to open up my locomotion. I'm going to go into my walk run state. And in the walk run state, you'll see that you have this default blend space that's already being used. We want to bring in our own blend space. So if you remember, oh, I don't know if I actually titled it what I wanted. I just called it new blend space. So let's rename this. We're going to call this 8-way S for blend space. And so when I'm here, I'm going to type in BS, and you're going to see this 8-way blend space right there. So we have our blend space. I'm going to actually take this speed and plug it in here, this ground speed. We can delete this other blend space, plug in our new blend space, And then for direction, we're going to use our new direction variable. And I'm going to actually move this under essential movement data. And there we go. So now that we have that all here, we can compile, we can save, and if we come back in here into the blueprint, the third person blueprint, I want to go ahead and change the skeleton to this skeleton. This is just the one, like I said, that happens to be what the animations that I'm using were created on, so that's why I'm doing it. And then we can jump in to our scene. Let's take a look at how it looks. So there we have it. We have 8-way movement. So you notice there's our forward movement, our backwards movement, our left and our right, and then we have the different directions as well, the kind of the diagonals that are all being used, all like this. Now that's all great, but then let's take a look at what happens when I pivot my camera. The character just spins. That doesn't look good, unless you're making a game from a couple decades ago. We want something that looks a little bit better. So let's modify our event graph here and add in something that's going to change that and limit the rotation when the character's not moving. So here you have this should move variable. We're going to go ahead and create a branch here, and when this is true, then when the character is moving forward or whatever direction, then we want to set the rotation rate to be 500. Set rotation rate, and so we're going to set that for Z to be 500. And I'll show you what this does as soon as I get this kind of plugged in and set up here. If I create another one, and when it's false, we're going to have it be 0. So what this is going to do is when we have the ability to, or when we're moving, we're going to be able to have the, this always is a little frustrating. There we go. When you're moving around or running around, the camera will be behind the character, but as soon as you stop moving, then the camera will rotate around the character. So let's take a look at how that works out. So come back in here, and if I use my controller, there you go. I can spin around my character because he's not moving. But if I want to try spinning around now, the character keeps facing away from me, just like you would see if you were in a shooter and you were aiming at something that your reticle was facing or something like that. So that's it. We have our 8-way animation system in, or other people might call it a strafing system, but it's basically useful if you're creating a shooter. We have the ability to rotate around the camera when the character's not moving, and all it took was a blend space, some animations, and just a little bit of work in the blueprint, and we're good to go. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you next time.